Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one we've been waiting for. It's the ANZCRL Combined Racing Leagues 2022 Le Mans 2.4 hour. Very different to the races that we have done for this in the past. We have normally done a 4-session 24 hours covering about 6 hours with time progressions. But this year we've decided to go to a single session, 2.4 hours. That is 2 hours 25 minutes of racing here at the Circuit de la Sarthe in Le Mans, France. Slide Science in this practice session, he's leading the way in the LMPH class. Granted that none of the other LMPH cars have set a time. We've still got Dark Racing 40, he's yet to set a time. IllogicalSports hasn't set a time yet. Woody Lizard is in the pits, he hasn't set a time either. So Dark Racing 40, he's the one to watch. He's won this race the last 2 years, partnered with myself. Now he's on his own, but he is the odds-on favourite to win this event. He won the 2020 edition of this race in the Audi Sport R18. Last year he won this in the Porsche 919, and this year he's having a dip in the Toyota TS050. A Toyota that has been very unlucky in the real world Le Mans, having lost to the Porsche 2 years running due to mechanical faults. I think the 2016 one, they got overtaken for the lead with about 10 minutes remaining or something ridiculous. It was a bonkers finish. But the GTE class is the one to pay attention in this group. The class has been very tight. Simsports, he's currently leading this practice session. Daddoracer, who has the flu tonight, so he's a bit under the weather. Will that hurt his pace? He's been very fast over the years. Matty Seeking, he's running third in the GT class, and that is he's driving the Corvette. It wasn't going to be a Corvette in this race until last minute switch. Saw him jump in his car. He would have borrowed a setup from his teammate in the P51 Simsports stable, Simsports. Cirrus, he's currently driving, I think it is a BMW. I am not 100% sure. We'll have to wait for him to go out on track to find that out. Dark Lord, he's got himself up to speed. Very slow to start, but he's in that Porsche, and that Porsche is very good on its fuel economy, so we could see it not necessarily match it lap for lap with the top cars, but we could see him factor in to a good result once the strategies start playing out. Great to see Metal Drive back. He's been away for quite a while, not having his sim rig set up, so it's good to see him back. And we've got well, let's go to a Maverick who's buzzing out in the pit lane. He's driving forward. Let's cut away from him because he's a bit sore on the eyes. Wrapped Pigeon has gone faster. I haven't seen him race. I think he's done 1 or 2 races in this group beforehand. He's also in the 4GT, which has been very strong here over the years. So yeah, he's currently about 3 seconds off the pace of Simsports, but we'll see when it comes to race pace. Not quite sure what sort of runs these cars are doing. Oh, that's a drift through Turtle Rouge. But he's got a fair bit of fuel on board, so that suggests to me that he is on a race run. and that would explain why he's a little bit off the pace. Dark Racing 40, he's just jumped to the top of the pops. 3:20.6. It's a bit slower than the pace I would expect from these cars. The track record is a 3:15 set by myself in 2020 on board the Audi Sport. I've decided to step out of this race. I partnered this guy for the last 2 years, having won both the races. But my wheel setup doesn't quite like the bumps at this circuit, and it's quite annoying. So I've decided to retire from this event and park up in the commentary booth where it's nice and warm and dry. I'm not sure if rain's going to be a factor, probably not. Times 10 progression is going to rapidly go from day to night and back to day. So that could throw up all sorts of strategies, as tyre warm-up is going to be a big problem in the night stages. Night Havoc is one of our other GTE cars. He is driving in the Ferrari by the looks of it, so that's quite a different car. Not one we have necessarily seen compete in this over the last couple of years. So it's good to see that Ferrari getting some love. Haven't seen any practice times of him, so I'm not quite sure where he's going to sit in the pecking order. But Night Havoc is a very talented driver, and we could easily see him factor in up the top reaches of the podium come the end of the race. Teammate for him is Commander Jim, as always. He's currently in pit lane. IllogicalSports, he's in the Audi Sport LMPH. He will be fast, he's consistent. He's trying to get his head around that setup. And we've got league owner here, Mr. Woody Lizard. He hasn't set a time yet. He is also in the Toyota, same as Darky. But for Woody, this race is going to be a massive test. He's had back problems over the last 12 months or so. So that could upset him the longer we go into the race. An unlikely victory if Woody was to take it, but it would be one of the best wins in league history if he were to overcome his back problems to take the win. So Dark Racing 40, he's still fighting for it. He's on a race run, so that probably explains why the pace is a little bit down. Just trying to get his eye in. A lot of these guys, they haven't run since our official practice session last night, and so it's we'll see how much up to speed these guys get. So side signs, he's still in the 3:28, so there's something he's not quite hooking up with this Porsche. The last I remember him running was 2020, where he was in the Porsche as well. Very much a Porsche fan, Mr. Slide Science. But he's almost out of fuel there, but yeah, there's something just not quite hooking up with him. We've got the two top GTs in the pit lane. There we go, second up, so that's so he's starting to find a little bit of time. I can see, just looking at him through the Porsche curves, that he's just not quite maximising all the lines. Just half car width here and there where you could maximise that Porsche. The Ford chicane, you can make or break your lap in this section. I was able to find a lot of times through there when I used to drive. Cut corner, that might have invalidated his lap. We'll see when he crosses the line, and yeah, I think he did get his lap invalidated there. It was a shame. He would have dropped into a 3:26 by the looks of that run there. Let's jump back with the Mr. Corvette man, Matty Seeking. He's actually pedaling quite nicely. He's got to the start. He's sitting in third position. He's a couple of seconds off his P51 Simsports teammate. He's a couple of tenths up on this lap, so we might actually follow him on this lap. We'll jump on the burger can of this Chevy Corvette through the Porsche curves. We go into the Corvette curves here. He's maximising that car quite nicely. Oh, that might have been a bit wide. That could have invalidated his lap time. See, letting through, that would be LogicalSports going through there. So this is actually going to upset Matty there. Even though these GT cars, they still rely on aerodynamics for their grip in the corners. Having a prototype in front is not ideal, as the aero wash does affect this GT car. So 1,000th of a second faster for Matty on that lap. It's a slight improvement, but it does show that Audi Sport of IllogicalSports did affect that lap. Now, can Mr. IllogicalSports hook up a lap around this 13-kilometre circuit of the Circuit de la Sarthe onto the Hernaudiers? Foot to the floor, just watching all the trees and lines just going past like a blur. Coming up into the first chicane here. And he's slowing down quite a lot by the appears of it for that chicane there, so that would be lost time there. Yeah, this is just fly through, motoring down 310 kilometres and still climbing. Up to 320, 325, 327 before he hits the brakes. Through the second chicane he goes. He can still probably max out a little bit more in the corners. What he loses just going second. He's 2.5 seconds off of Dark Racing 40. So we stick with IllogicalSports into the Mulsanne corner. Second gear, get it turned a little bit wide on an entry. That's going to compromise a couple of tenths as well. Now the blast down to Indianapolis. One of the fastest and most fearsome corners on this track. These prototypes will take it flat out, but it's flat out and then you've got to immediately hit the brakes. We'll see if IllogicalSports, yep, he holds it flat and then immediately onto the brakes down to third gear, hooking into the left-hander. The corner is cambered, which helps the cornering around the bend, and then into Arnaud's very slow corner, the slowest corner on the track. And then fire it out, deploy the curves, get up to speed again. They will enter into the Porsche curves at over 300 kilometers an hour. There's an Aston Martin in front that's going to upset. It's going to upset IllogicalSports lap. It's one of the Aston Martins in front. Around the outside goes IllogicalSports. That'll be metal drive, I'm sure of it. The lap still looks pretty clean as we fire into the Ford chicanes. Not quite getting the 300 before the braking zone. Really need to use the curbs, but the curbs can unsettle it. So a well-balanced race car will handle this track quite nicely. Across the line goes IllogicalSports. He still hasn't set a time. So he must have got invalidated just before the start of the previous lap, because that looked a pretty clean lap. So let's find a lot of GT cars that are into the pits now as we're 20 past 6 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So a lot of these drivers now, they will be looking to have their dinners to make sure they're filled up to ready to go for 2.5 hours of racing. Matty Seeky's just got 2 tenths faster, he's cracked the 355s now, so he's starting to dial himself in. Daddoracer, who's on track now, he's currently second. Now, as I said off the start, this guy is suffering the effects of the flu that hit him last night and into today, so he's going to be struggling for energy. Commander Jim, he's now out on track, he's in that Ferrari. And Maverick as well, he's out on track now, so no more wobbling about in the pit lane. A few Ford GTs in this event. It's two Aston Martins. Seriously, he's still in the pit lane, so I can't quite see what he is driving. My suspicions is that it's the BMW, but I'll not be able to confirm it until he is out on track. Night Havoc. He hasn't set a time yet. We're 45 minutes into this practice session, and we've still got a few drivers not in the not setting lap times. Of course, plenty of different practice programs that these guys are running. Some are doing out lap, in lap to try and get pit entry practice. And the little mistakes in the last sector compromises 2 laps, the lap you're on and the next lap you run. So thank you for tuning in for this the Mod 24 hour, 2.4 hour I should say, run every year with the ANZCRL Combined Racing League on Project Cars 2. We're starting to get the ball rolling on Automobilista 2 on the PC. We're starting to run Saturday nights here and there with special events scheduled throughout the year. The next one on the calendar is it's the 1995 Grand Prix of Cleveland. So it's in the 1995 Formula USA, which is the 95 kart season. There we go, IllogicalSports has said the time has gone to the top. So here we go, now we're setting this Audi rolling. This Audi maxed out is the fastest of the LMPHs. It as shown by the fact that it currently holds the track record for this circuit. It was a 3:15 set by yours truly here in the commentary box. Always have to bring that up because I won. But the GTE lap record was set by Commander Sirius, who is actually on track now. So here we go. Yep. Can confirm, there we go, it is the BMW, which he also set the track record here last year. He did a 3:53.367, which yeah, in race trim, very fast. So he'll be looking to not only drive faster but to net himself a class win. IllogicalSports, he's got a lot to gain. As we go back to him, he's currently on the Hernodiers heading towards Mulsanne corner. He's trying to get himself a piece of the Triple Crown, which this race is part of 1/3 of the ANZCRL Combined Racing League Triple Crown. The other 2 events are the Indianapolis 500, which will run in April, where IllogicalSports finished 3rd, but he was the victor last year. And the other one is the Bathurst 1000. So only 3 drivers in our history have got themselves a Triple Crown, which includes SSHADZZ, myself, Sato 15, and this guy here, Mr. Dark Racing 40. Dark Racing 40 completing the Triple Crown last year with the Bathurst 1000 victory, partnering with myself. IllogicalSports has an Indy 500 win, but he is looking for a Le Mans victory and a Bathurst 1000 victory to get himself a Triple Crown. Triple Crown winners receive a trophy, a small plaque to commemorate the achievement, which is quite difficult, especially with the calibre of a lot of these drivers in the group. We've got 10 minutes left in this practice session before we head into qualifying. Now, just got to note that between qualifying and the race there will be an extended break of probably 5 minutes or so while we wait for drivers to do their toilet breaks, drinks, food, quick snacks, whatever. Because 2 hours 25 minutes is a very long time to drive. So current order is IllogicalSports, followed by Dark Racing 40, Woody, Lizard, Slide Science, and then your 4 LMPH cars. Then the GT cars, which is a stacked grid. CMDR Cirrus, Daddoracer, Matty Seeking 3rd, Dark Lord 4th, Metal Drive 5th. There's a Wrapped Pigeon. He is in 6th with Maverick 7th. Welcome back, Maverick. Night Havoc and Commander Jim 8 and 9 yet to set a time in this practice session. They may not be able to get their laps done by the end of the session. As Wrapped Pigeon, he is 3.4 seconds up on his previous best. He's actually motoring along. If he can hook this last lap together, he's going to springboard himself up into second or even first place. In fact, this could be first on cars. This is looking like a 53 at the moment. He's run a little wide though through the Corvette curves. He's right on the edge of the limit here as we head into the Ford chicane now. Can he keep this lap together? The Ford chicane, it can make and break your laps. He's on tiptoeing right on the edge of grip. Flies down across the finish line. Can he go fastest? And he's invalidated his lap time somewhere. That was going to be a ripper lap. He was 3.4 seconds up. Projected 3 minute 53.7, which would have put him on top of the timesheets. And that also, while that would have been qualifying run, that would have put him, put him 4/10 off of the track record as he's come unstuck there through the S's and into the barrier. So that's his run done. Time to fill her up, go back out there. But Sam Cirrus, Mr. BMW man. He's got Maverick behind him, tailing him. That Ford has the best straight line speed of anyone on this track. But the cornering ability of this BMW is quite strong. I drove the BMW a couple of years ago and the grip it had was phenomenal. Now, of course, I haven't driven the track here at Le Mans in this BMW, but the BMW is the one to beat. It's Dark Racing 40. He's actually jumped up ahead of IllogicalSports now, so that's going to be a very good tussle between Dark Racing 40 and IllogicalSports as Illogical flies past Daddoracer down the nerdy airs. into the second chicane. Oh, he's pushing the limits there. It's leaning towards understeer. So I'm thinking that Audi is going to need a little bit more front wing. The prototypes, it's actually beneficial to with just a small amount of wing rather than no wing at all, because those despite the length of the straights, the corners are such high speed, medium to high speed for most of the track, having the extra downforce is actually more beneficial than to trim the car out entirely. There's still quite a small gap between Mr. Cirrus and Daddoracer. So Daddoracer, he's gone faster here, so he's got within 2/10 of SSHADZZ Cirrus, which is a mighty effort for the old dog. He's currently as crook as a dog. He's using up as much room as possible. He's on the limit here. He's approaching the second sector split. See if the timing split comes up for him. He's 8/10 up, almost 9/10, so this could put him fastest in the session as he flies into the Porsche curves. It's an old version of Le Mans, so it's quite got that wall that sits right up next at the exit of the Porsche curves. Now the Porsche and Corvette curves negotiate now into the Ford chicane. Nighthavic's just had his lap invalidated, so has Slide Science. Right on the limit in the Ford chicane was Daddoracer. 1 second fastest. That's fastest in the session. The first time we've seen cars enter into the 353s. Into the pits goes Daddo as he relaxes himself with 3 minutes remaining. He's gearing up for qualifying. He'll take the fuel out for an all-out assault for this upcoming qualifying session. Qualifying, just going to have a look, but I believe it is going to be a 20-minute session. It is 20-minute session starting in 5 minutes time. 20 minutes might seem like a long time, but it is not very long at all at a circuit that takes about 4 minutes to do a single lap. So we'll only really get maybe 4 or 5 laps tops around this place, and that is including the out lap to start the session. SSHADZZ Cirrus, he's 4/10 up now, so he's not quite going to be able to topple Daddo unless he can fire it up through this last section. This last sector, I should say. Through the Corvette curve. BMW looks like it is on the limit through the high speed corners. A lot of these GT cars, they look like they've been driven on the knife edge. Which if they drive like that in the race, it could make them come unstuck. Oh, sideways on the exit of the Ford chicane. Across the line goes Commander Seriously. He's invalidated his lap time. I'm not surprised because that's was right on the edge. Matty Seeking, whereas he's at Arnage now with IllogicalSports behind him. So Illogical fly past and he'll cut back in front of Matty and he'll give Matty some slipstream there. There might be a little bit of slipstream, but it might make a little bit of difference as it crosses the second sector split. Where is it? He's not on the lap. So that's an invalidation. IllogicalSports is looking fast, but is he going to complete this lap or is he going to make a pit stop? He's motoring through, but there's a GT car in his way. It's one of the Ferraris. of Commander Jim. This is going to be tight, but he gets through unscathed into the Ford chicane. Goes Illogical Sports. Oh, that car. These prototypes don't like the slow speed corners across the line. Goes Illogical Sports and he does not improve. That was also a lap invalidation, probably on the previous lap. AC can cross the line. Commander Jim. So looking like. Yep, so Illogical Sports, he's still going. Oh, he's made a mistake there. So he put it on the grass then. So you might finish this lap to see a reference point. We're not going to be able to see what that is. So here are the timings up on screen. So Commander Jim's still on track. Oop, I don't want to quit the session. That would have been bad. Commander Jim, he's flat out as well, so he must have crossed the line before the session expired. So I wonder if he's been able to. I wonder if he's still going to have his lap count. Did a 4-0 on the previous time by, and he's 8 tenths down, so that's not a good start at all. Let's have a look at Matty. So that's half throttle, so he's finished. So that's the AI driving that one. Back with Illogical Sports now. Into Mulsanne corner. So qualifying starting very soon. As at the end of this session is when qualifying will begin. That's a massive mistake for Illogical Sports. That's his lap done. He's into the pits now. So Commander Jim, the sole runner of this session. I've just got word from Commander Cirrus. His last lap was only that he did in that session was 1/10 off of Daddo's, but got invalidated for running wide. So that was the lap we saw of him where he crossed the line and didn't improve. It's such a fine line, this very fine line with this track and the track limits. You cannot exceed the white lines. Here's Commander Jim. He's approaching the second sector split now. Where is he in relation to his best lap? So he's close up to 3/10 off now. So he's capable of getting into the 3-minute 50s. But Ferrari's looking like it's lacking a lot. Looking a very stable car, looking at this. Oh, except for there, that's loose there. Coming up to the finish of this lap. Into the Ford chicane we go. Look tidy through there as he crosses the line. Let's see how we went. So Dark Racing 40, he's top of the pops. Illogical Sports, he got himself into second place. Woody Lizard third. Slide Science fourth. That's 10 seconds between the LMPHs. Slide Science will want to find some pace in qualifying. Of the GTEs, we've got Daddo, Cirrus, Darklord, Matty Seeking, Metal Drive, Wrapped, Pigeon, Maverick in 7th, Commander Jim 8th. He did improve and actually jumped his teammate Night Havoc, who sits in 9th position. So Commander Jim and Night Havoc got They need to try and find 2 seconds in that first sector and 1 second in that second sector. So that's the stuff. Yeah, they've got a lot of they've got to find a way to try and find some time there. As here we go, qualifying begins. Dark Racing 40, he's the first out. He's keen to get out. It's actually raining here, by the looks of it. Yep, that's spray. So it's actually a wet qualifying session. So there we go. So this is actually going to throw everything up. So I have no idea of the wet times that these guys have set. So where qualifying is going to sit, I do not know. So we've got a few cars still sitting in the pit lane. Slide signs to Woody of the LMPH is there in the pit lane. Rat Pigeon's got himself a grid penalty. So that'll be a 1-place grid penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's pole position busted for him. That's a lot of spray already, it's getting quite wet. Very wet, as it is coming down very, very hard. This is going to make this track very, 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 very treacherous. So we'll see plenty of puddles build up. It's going to be a matter of how the right feet of these drivers are able to cope with these conditions. The straights won't be too much of a problem, but the speeds will be down. And then it will be... Lost my train of thought there, but it's certainly going to be a tough session. Woody Lizard's still in the pit lane, so he's waiting for a clear bit of track. By the looks of things, there's more cars in the pits. Rap Pigeon is in the pits, and Commander Sirius has gone back to the pits. So they've both had moments that have caused them to crash out. So get back on with Darky, because he's going to be the first driver to set a lap, but he's lost a headlight already. So that's interesting. Has he also come undone in these conditions? But jump on board, can we see some damage? Doesn't appear to be any different on the front end. Puddles are already forming on this track. So right on board the Toyota Dark Racing 40s. He crosses the line to start this lap. This will be full out attack. Even in these conditions, it's all about maximising the grip, finding the grip and maximising the car. And the racing line's not always the way to go in these conditions. Sometimes you've got to go slightly offline where there's less rubber build-up. It was nice and clean through Turtle Rouge. Now we're onto the Hernandez. He's already up to 320 kilometers per hour and he's still climbing. So it shows that that V8 engine in that Toyota is firing on all cylinders. It's still climbing 325 as he hits the brake onto the puddles. That's running wide off into the bollards, and that could be a bit of aero damage for Dark. He's going to continue because he needs to, at the very least, set a banker time. I'm thinking something in the 320s, 330s is probably going to be good enough. Well, it's probably going to be the times we would expect. I haven't seen wet times here, so I'm unsure what the speed of these cars are going to be, but we've already shown while we're on board with Dark Racing 40 that the puddles are causing a few problems, especially with this prototype. Now we've got the run down to the Mulsanne corner. Up to 300 kilometers. There's a car up ahead which could upset Darky's lap if he doesn't pass him before Indianapolis. It's one of the Ferraris. That was nice and clean for Darky through Mulsanne, and now he'll blast past the Ferrari. Well, that might have actually been the Ford of Wrapped Pigeon. But we'll stay on board. The Toyota, which is just motoring along into Indianapolis, which is probably going to be a break and a downshift now in this wet conditions. Yep, down to 6th. Oh, you feel that car's struggling. There's so much water on the track at the moment that the cars are just battling for grip. Even the aerodynamics of the car is not going to be able to save them when they go. There's another car up ahead now. I can see the spray, which, yeah, that's a very bad position. Oh, he's pulled over. That's actually Commander Sirius. He's actually pulled over to let Darky go. So that's actually very, very smart for Sirius. He's only just come out of the pit lane. So very sporty of Sirius to let Darky go. Holding it in 5th. Oh, he just clipped the curb there. Survived that. Heading down now towards the Ford chicanes. How deep does he go? A little bit more tentative. As you'd expect, very wet. Now he fires it across the line. It's a 328.3. So that's the first time on the board. Not having, where is he? He's on the Hernaudier, so he's not going to be setting a lap time anytime. There's Daddo, he's at Indianapolis. He's battling to stop the car getting around that Indianapolis corner. Where's IllogicalSports? So he's behind Daddo, so that's actually going to be, that actually could be a problem. I'm going to follow IllogicalSports through here, because him and Daddo, this could be very interesting. I think Illogical might actually get past now. But see, Daddo's on a lap, Illogical's is on a lap. Illogical's on the left hand side and just makes it through, but now this might compromise Daddo's lap a little bit. So IllogicalSports has got plenty of fuel on board, so he's probably going to be looking to stick it out in this session. 11 minutes to go, so 11 minutes to go, and then IllogicalSports hasn't even completed his first flying lap. So there's not a lot of time left in this session. Darky's in the pits, and you want to get out now to try and get a couple of laps in to try and go faster. 328.359 for IllogicalSports. They is 400ths of a second between. Oh, alrighty. So my stream is frozen. Dark Racing 40. So. To reset. So thank you. There's a Boogo. I'll try get this issue fixed. So there's going on with the pictures? My Elgato's showing me that the picture is fine. So I don't quite understand what's happening here. Yeah, so bear with me. While I try and get this sorted. So now I've lost all picture, that's good. This is baffling. I've lost all. Just try to refresh. I'm gonna have to. Alright, I'm gonna have to stop and restart this stream, guys. So I will return for the last 5 minutes of this qualifying session.